stop. Before you do anything else today, look at this. This is what happens when you stop treating your garden fence like an afterthought and start treating it like the centerpiece it was always meant to be. And the wildest part? Most of these ideas cost almost nothing. Some of them literally use materials you probably already have sitting in your yard right now. Stick with me today, because by the end of this video, your garden is never going to look the same again. I promise you that. Welcome back to Daily Garden Fix, the place where we turn ordinary outdoor spaces into something that makes your neighbors stop their car and stare. If you're new here, hey, pull up a seat, grab your coffee. You are going to love it here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we drop fresh garden content every single week, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. And if you've been here before, welcome home. You already know we don't do boring around here. Now, here's what we're doing today. We are talking about farmhouse vegetable garden fences. And I know what some of you are thinking. It's just a fence. How exciting can it really be? Oh, my friend, you have no idea. A fence is not just a border. It's not just something to keep rabbits out of your carrots. Although yes, it does that too. A great farmhouse fence is the frame around your masterpiece. It's the first thing people see. It sets the entire mood of your garden. It tells a story before a single vegetable has even been planted. So today, I'm walking you through some of the most innovative, creative, beautiful farmhouse fence ideas I've ever come across. Ideas that add real rustic charm, real timeless beauty, and real personality to your yard. We've got wooden ideas, metal ideas, upcycled ideas, living fences, oh yes, living fences, and some surprise combos that are going to absolutely blow your mind. Let's go. Before we dive into the ideas themselves, I want to spend just 1 minute, making sure we're all on the same page about something important. Your vegetable garden fence does 3 things. 3 things that nothing else in your garden does all at once. Number 1, it defines your space. It gives your garden a sense of intention. It says, this was planned. This was designed. This person cares. Number 2, it protects. From pests, from wandering animals, from kids accidentally trampling your tomatoes during a backyard football game. And number 3, and this is the one most people completely overlook, it adds vertical interest. In a garden where everything is growing low to the ground, a beautiful fence gives your eye somewhere to travel upward. It creates depth. It creates layers. It makes your whole space feel bigger and richer and more designed. So when we pick a fence, especially a farmhouse-style fence, we're not just picking something functional. We're picking something that works on all 3 levels at once. And that's exactly what makes these ideas so powerful. They're not decorative. They're not just practical. They're both, at the same time, which is honestly the definition of great garden design. All right, are you ready? Yeah, let's get into the ideas. Idea 1. The classic picket fence with a twist. Let's start with the most iconic farmhouse look of all time, the picket fence. But I am not talking about your basic white plastic picket fence from the hardware store. No. I'm talking about a handmade, slightly uneven, beautifully weathered wooden picket fence where every post tells a story. Here's what makes it farmhouse: the imperfection. You want varying heights? You want slightly different widths on the pickets. You want that gorgeous gray-silver weathered wood look. Or if you're starting fresh, a whitewash paint treatment that lets the wood grain show through underneath. Then, and this is the magic move, you plant climbing vegetables right up against it. Beans, cucumbers, even some heritage tomato varieties. They grow up and through the pickets, and suddenly your fence isn't just a fence anymore, it's alive. It looks like something straight out of a countryside painting, and it costs almost nothing if you use reclaimed wood. Idea 2. Split rail fence. Now this one is pure American farmhouse heritage. The split rail fence, sometimes called a log fence or a snake fence, is one of the oldest fence styles on the continent, and it has aged beautifully. It uses thick, rustic logs split lengthwise and stacked in a zigzag pattern, or set into simple 2 or 3 rail posts. No nails needed in the traditional version. It literally just stacks and leans. For a vegetable garden, you run simple chicken wire or garden mesh along the inside. Keeps the critters out. It doesn't affect the look from the outside at all. What I love most about the split rail fence is how it photographs. If you have a garden blog, an Instagram, or you just want your yard to look absolutely incredible in family photos, this fence is the one. There is nothing that says farmhouse more clearly than a split rail fence with sunflowers growing behind it. Idea 3. The board and batten panel. Fence. This one is a little more structured, a little more polished, but still 100% farmhouse in feel. Board and batten uses wide vertical boards with narrow strips, called battens, running over the seams. Painted in deep charcoal, forest green, or a muted sage. This fence looks absolutely stunning surrounding a raised bed vegetable garden. It's the kind of fence that makes people think you hired a professional designer when really you spent a weekend and a few $100s. Add some simple black metal hardware, hinges, gate handles, a latch, and the whole thing looks like it belongs on a magazine cover. And speaking of magazine covers, let's talk about metal, because farmhouse isn't just wood, and some of these metal ideas are going to surprise you. Idea 4. Corrugated metal panel. Fencing. Okay, I know. I know what some of you are thinking. Corrugated metal? That's industrial. That's not farmhouse. Except, it absolutely is farmhouse. Think about old barns. Think about grain silos. Think about those gorgeous sheds on heritage farms. Corrugated metal is deeply, authentically farmhouse. It just depends on how you use it. Here's the move. You build simple wooden posts and rails, thick, chunky, rough-sawn timber, and you panel them with corrugated galvanized metal sheets. The contrast between the raw metal and the weathered wood is stunning. Then you soften it with plants, lavender along the base, strawberries spilling over the top of raised beds, maybe some climbing squash winding up the wooden posts. That combination, hard metal, soft plants, natural wood, is one of the most visually striking things you can do in a garden, and it lasts for decades. Zero maintenance. Rain? Fine. Sun? Fine. That metal just gets more beautiful with age as it develops a natural patina. Idea 5. Cattle panel trellis. Fence. Now this one is a fan favorite, and once you see it, you'll understand why. Cattle panels, also called livestock panels, are those heavy-duty welded wire grids that farmers use for animal pens. They're about 16 feet long, incredibly sturdy, and they cost around $25 to $30 each at farm supply stores. Here's what clever gardeners do with them. They bend them into arches. You drive 2 wooden or metal stakes into the ground about 4 to 5 feet apart. Bend the cattle panel into a beautiful arch between them and secure it. Do that along your entire garden border, and you have the most extraordinary arched fence you've ever seen. And then, you train your vining vegetables up and over the arch. Cucumbers, melons, pole beans, butternut squash. They drape over the top and hang down the other side. Yeah, and when they're in full growth, it looks like something from a fairy tale. A living green tunnel of vegetables. I've seen gardens with this setup that literally stop traffic. People walking past just stopped, stared, took photos. It's functional, supports heavy crops brilliantly. It's beautiful, like nothing else in the neighborhood. And it is so affordable. That's the triple win right there. Okay, real quick. I need to know, which of these is speaking to you so far? Are you a classic wood person? Are you feeling that corrugated metal energy? Or are you already obsessed with those cattle panel arches like I am? Drop it in the comments right now. Just type wood, metal, or arch, and let me know where you're leaning. I read every single comment on this channel, And honestly, your answers help me decide what videos we make next. Alright, we're only halfway through and it's about to get even better, because we haven't talked about living fences yet. And that, my friends, is where things get truly magical. Idea 6. The berry hedge fence. A living fence is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of building a fence out of wood or metal, you grow your fence. And for a vegetable garden, the most practical and beautiful living fence you can possibly create is a berry hedge. Gooseberries, currants, raspberries, blueberries. All of these grow into dense, upright hedgerows that will stop a rabbit, block wind, provide privacy, and give you harvests of fruit every single year. You plant them about 2 feet apart along your garden border, train them upright with simple bamboo canes in the first couple of years, and within 3 to 4 seasons you have a thick, lush, productive living wall. And here's the thing about a berry hedge that no wooden fence can ever do. It changes with the seasons. In spring it explodes with blossoms, white, pink, delicate, and in summer it's deep green and loaded with fruit. In autumn the leaves turn burgundy and gold. In winter, the bare branches have their own sculptural beauty. It's a fence that is literally alive and evolving every single month of the year. You can never get bored of it because it never looks the same twice. Idea 7. The sunflower border fence. This next idea is one of my absolute personal favorites. And it's so simple that I almost feel guilty calling it an idea. You grow a thick row of giant sunflowers along the border of your vegetable garden. Mammoth sunflowers, the ones that grow 8, 10, even 12 feet tall, planted about 12 inches apart. By midsummer, you have a living wall of enormous golden flowers towering over your vegetables. It is the single most cheerful, joyful, jaw-dropping thing you can add to a garden. And the benefits go beyond beauty. Sunflowers attract pollinators like crazy, bees, butterflies, beneficial insects, all of which go on to pollinate your vegetables too. The tall stalks provide real wind protection. The leaves create dappled shade that some vegetables actually love. And when the season ends, you leave the seed heads for the birds, and then you save some seeds yourself and you plant them again the next year. Completely free. Every single year. Tell me that isn't the most satisfying thing you've ever heard. Idea 8. The espalier fruit tree fence. Now this one is for the gardeners who want to take things to the next level. If you've never heard the word espalier, say it with me. A yes pal ea. It's the ancient technique of training fruit trees to grow flat against a structure. You plant dwarf apple, pear, or cherry trees along your garden fence line, and using simple bamboo canes and soft plant ties, you train the branches horizontally, left and right, in elegant, symmetrical tiers against the fence. What you end up with is extraordinary. A fence that is also a fruit orchard, flat against the wall, taking up barely any ground space, but producing real fruit every year. It looks like something from a centuries-old English walled garden. It has a formal, timeless beauty that nothing else in modern gardening can match. And because the trees are grown against a fence, they get reflected warmth from the structure, which actually helps them ripen fruit even in cooler climates. This is heirloom gardening. This is the kind of thing that gets passed down through generations. Okay, let's shift gears because this next section is where the creativity really kicks in. We're talking upcycled fences, repurposed materials, old things given extraordinary new life. Idea 9. Vintage door and shutter fence. Imagine walking up to a vegetable garden that's bordered by a collection of old wooden doors, painted in faded blues, greens, terracottas, hinged together side by side to form a fence. This is one of those ideas that sounds unusual until you see it, and then you immediately understand why it's genius. Old doors are free, or nearly free. Check Facebook Marketplace, salvage yards, demolition sites. People are literally giving them away. You hinge them together, add some simple posts for stability, and suddenly you have the most unique, characterful garden fence in the entire postcode. Every door has a different history, a different story, a different color, and together they create this incredible patchwork that is pure farmhouse, pure creativity, and absolutely unlike anything anyone else has. Idea 10. Pallet fence. I know, pallets. You've heard about pallets before, but stay with me, because the farmhouse pallet fence done properly is actually gorgeous. The key is preparation. You sand them smooth, check them carefully for any rough edges or splinters, and then you treat them, either with a clear exterior wood oil to let the natural grain shine through, or a diluted whitewash for that classic farmhouse look. Stand them upright, fix them to wooden posts, and space them slightly apart, just an inch or two, so light filters through and you get that beautiful dappled shadow effect on the ground inside. It costs almost nothing. It looks deliberate and designed, and you can screw small hooks and brackets directly into the pallet wood to hang herb planters, garden tools, bird houses, turning your fence into a whole vertical garden ecosystem. Idea 11. The vintage headboard fence. This one is just pure joy. You go to thrift stores and secondhand shops and you find old iron or wooden bed headboards, the ornate, decorative kind, and you use them as fence panels. I told you this was going to get fun. Plant climbing roses or sweet peas at the base of each headboard and let them grow up through the ironwork. And what you end up with is something so romantic, so whimsical, like so completely original that people will be taking photos and asking you about it for years. This is Farmhouse with a capital F. Old materials, new purpose, incredible result. Now, you've got your fence idea. You know what you want to build. But I want to spend a few minutes on the finishing touches because this is where good becomes extraordinary. Gates. Your gate is the full stop at the end of a sentence. It completes the whole picture. For farmhouse style, you want simple arched wooden gates, or those gorgeous X-brace gates, diagonal planks across the middle in that classic farmhouse pattern. Painted a contrasting color to the fence. If your fence is whitewashed, paint the gate a deep sage green or slate blue. If your fence is raw timber, go with a black gate. So that contrast is everything. Fence post. Toppers. Here's a tiny detail that makes a massive difference. What you put on top of your fence posts. Solar lights, the warm amber kind, turn your garden into something magical the moment the sun goes down. Or carved wooden finials, those decorative caps, add instant character and craftsmanship. Even just setting a small terracotta pot on every other post and planting trailing herbs in them, thyme, rosemary, creeping oregano, creates this beautiful, fragrant, productive detail that ties the whole garden together. Paint and color. Let's talk color, because farmhouse doesn't just mean brown and gray, although those are beautiful. Farmhouse also means that gorgeous faded Swedish red, that deep forest green that looks like it's been there for a century, or that chalky off-white that photographs like a dream. Whatever color you choose, consider going one shade deeper than your first instinct. A fence that's slightly darker than expected has presence. It grounds the whole garden. It makes the plants in front of it pop with color. Climbing plants on the fence. And finally, always grow something on or against your fence. Climbing nasturtiums, hops, passion flower, morning glory, espaliered fruit trees we already talked about. A bare fence, even a beautiful one, is an unfinished fence. The plants complete it. They soften the edges, they move in the wind, they attract wildlife. They make the fence feel like it belongs in the garden rather than just standing next to it. All right, before we wrap, I want to give you 5 rapid-fire bonus ideas because we are not leaving anything on the table today. 1. Bamboo screening panels. Fast-growing, sustainable, incredibly beautiful. Plant bamboo in pots along your border for a living screen that sways in the breeze and sounds incredible in the wind. 2. Stone and timber combo. Stack a low dry stone wall, just 18 inches high, and sit timber rails on top. Combines the solidity of stone with the warmth of wood. Absolutely timeless. 3. Painted mural fence. Get a local artist or just do it yourself. Paint a botanical mural directly onto plain timber panels. Herbs, vegetables, birds, bees. It turns a flat fence into a conversation piece. 4. Bottle bottom fence. Collect old green and brown glass bottles, bury them neck down between your fence posts, and when the light hits the glass, especially morning or evening sun, it creates this extraordinary glowing stained glass effect. Completely free. Completely unique. 5. Willow wattle fence. Cut long willow branches and weave them in and out of vertical stakes in a basket weave pattern. Ancient. Beautiful. Biodegradable. And if you plant the stakes in spring, the willow roots and the fence starts to come alive. It literally grows into itself. 5 bonus ideas, 0 extra budget, maximum creativity. Okay, now I really want to know, after everything we've talked about today, what is the one idea you are most excited to try? Just one. Drop it in the comments below. Is it the cattle panel arch tunnel? The vintage door fence? The berry hedge? The espalier trees? The willow wattle? Tell me. Genuinely, tell me. Because here's the thing about this community, and I say this every video because it's always true. The comment section on this channel is one of the warmest, most creative, most inspiring spaces on the entire internet. You all share your own ideas, your photos, your results, and it makes every single person watching smarter and more inspired. So be part of that today. Leave your comment. Share this video with a gardening friend who needs to see it. And if you're watching on your phone right now and you haven't subscribed yet, the button is right there. Tap it. It takes 1 second and it means the world to this channel. You know, when I started Daily Garden Fix, the thing I kept coming back to was this idea that a garden should feel like a place. Not just a patch of ground with plants in it. A place. Somewhere you actually want to be. Somewhere that makes you feel something. And your fence is where that feeling begins. It's the boundary between the ordinary world and your world. Your creative space. Your growing space. Your peaceful space. So whatever idea you take from today, whether it's a full project or just a small detail, whether you spend nothing or splurge a little, make it yours. Make it personal. Make it something that when you look at it, you feel proud. Because that's what this is all about. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves and take care of your gardens.